Hi there, my name is Anne Gath, and this is my YouTube blog called Anne Gath Kidney Disease with Positivity. So I am starting my blog in August 2022 because I've had a journey, quite an emotional journey since I was first diagnosed with kidney disease in 2016. I have a rare genetic illness which meant that sadly my kidneys were going to fail, and it were fairly inevitable that I would have ended up on dialysis. So what my little mission on YouTube and on my Facebook page and Instagram page is to raise awareness of what it's like living with kidney failure, and also to raise awareness for prevention. So in my case, there was not very much that I could have done to prevent kidney disease, but as society ages, as especially in the UK, as obesity rates increase, and people start to develop multiple chronic illnesses as we age, kidney disease is becoming kind of a bit of a silent killer, and it doesn't really have very much publicity around it. So I want to raise awareness about that, just to try and make sure that people get that information and make sure that they can really feel empowered so they never have to end up on dialysis. Because let me tell you, I've been on dialysis now for just over a year, and even though I have a really positive life and I've made the best of the cards I've been dealt, it's not fun, and I'd love to be able to help promote that, and just to help people understand more about the risk factors of developing kidney disease. I'm also really passionate about promoting living organ donation. This is what I want to talk to you about today, is my story and my feelings and emotions around organ donation, live donation, and how I went from a renal patient who really never wanted to ask anybody for help to someone that did that, and then did a Facebook appeal, and found out just a few weeks ago that I've actually got a living donor that's come forward who is gonna donate a kidney to me, and as of now I'm just waiting for a date for surgery, which is really exciting and really scary, and has lots of emotions around that. And what I want to do through my blog is kind of educate, but also offer reassurance to patients and to people facing kidney failure and dialysis that, you know, it's not always so bad, and there are moments of happiness and joy. And I remember when my kidneys were failing, for me being on dialysis and seeing my auntie when I was a child being on dialysis, and seeing how she changed and how scary it looked, it was like the worst thing ever that could happen to me. And I just want to give people hope that you can still live a positive life while you are having dialysis and waiting for a transplant. So I was diagnosed in 2016 with a rare genetic illness called autosomal dominant intertubular kidney disease of the UMOD gene. So it's really super rare. There's not very many people worldwide that have this, but it basically means that most people that do get it tend to suffer renal failure in their 40s. And I reached end-stage kidney disease in March of 2021 at just 41 years old, and I started dialysis in June. I was activated on the transplant list in the end of May 2021. And I remember going on dialysis, and I chose hemodialysis. I'm going to do other videos explaining why I felt that hemodialysis were the right choice for me. So please do make sure that you follow this this YouTube channel, just so you can keep up to date with different videos and just kind of learn a bit more about my journey. So when I started dialysis in June of last year, it was kind of not the best experience first starting dialysis. It was really scary. I kind of interfered with my blood pressure. I really weren't well for that first couple of months. And I remember feeling like that first couple of months were just relentless. It was just dialysis and feeling faint and feeling tired and going home and sleeping and then going back to dialysis. And I remember going to an appointment. In fact, I was in my hospital bed, I'm in dialysis, and one of the consultants came to see me, and he was the consultant for the renal unit, and he introduced himself, and he said, how's dialysis going? And I had a little bit of a moan, which we're allowed to do. We're allowed to moan. We're allowed to own that feeling of being just totally devastated that I was there as a 41-year-old woman, a nursing student, just about to enter my third year, a mum of 5, having to like totally change a life to scheduling treatment essentially that's going to save my life. I was devastated, and it was hard. And I went from this kind of running at life 100 miles an hour person to just being stopping, and I had a really good old moan to him, and I remember his words, they still echo in my ears. And he said to me, so what are you doing to get a living donor, Anne? And I thought, oh my god, I don't want a living donor. I could not ever do anything that would put another person at risk of being on dialysis. I said that's not an option for me. I'm happy to wait. I'm okay waiting 3.5 years, even though it's awful. And it was from this point that he planted a little seed in my mind that actually a living donor gets a lot of benefits from being a donor, from being an altruistic donor. I'd never even considered the donor's perspective. And he planted a little seed, and he obviously must have talked to my nurses, and my nurses started talking to me about how they have had patients that have received kidneys from family members or partners, and they remember them saying that their partners felt so good for donating it. So it made me start doing a little bit of research, because I am that kind of person that when I get a little idea in my head, I just go on YouTube it, or I go and look for a research paper. I just look for information to see what's out there and what's backing up that point of view. And I watched this really inspiring TED talk about the perspective of an altruistic donor, and it was saying how he just felt this incredible sense of well-being having donated this kidney. And he had this thing when he saw a kidney appeal that he really must just donate a kidney, and that's what he wanted to do. And he had to talk to his family and reassure him that he was doing the right thing. And it was just so amazing to hear his perspective and how he felt giving someone a second chance at life. And it made me just stop and think. And I remember mulling it over in my head, and I sought help as my kidneys were failing from Facebook support groups. I joined loads. A really great one, if you're based in the UK, is Chronic Kidney Disease UK. It's a really amazing group run by a lady called Andrea, and I got so much support from them, reassurance, as I started reaching end stage kidney failure stage 5. It's a really great group. Join it. It's amazing. But I remember I made quite a lot of friends in this group, because regular people would reply to comments, and you'd just get talking to people, and then people would send me friends requests, and then I'd start chatting to an inbox. And there was this one lady that just happened to message me one night and said, how you doing, Anne? How's dialysis going? And I knew she'd had a transplant, and I remember that from the groups. And I said, it's all right. It's a bit hard. They keep saying that I should try and find a living donor, but I don't really know how I feel about that. And she said, do you know what, Anne? She says, I have to tell you my story. And she says, my story is that I was approaching dialysis, she said, and I did a Facebook appeal, and the post went viral. She says, this doesn't often happen that posts go viral. She says, but mine did. I was really lucky. She said, I didn't just post it though. She says, I sent it to all my friends, asked them to like it, asked them to share it. She says, I posted it in Facebook groups. I messaged it to people that I weren't even connected with on Facebook, and sent them a link. She says, and this post went viral. She says, and literally hundreds of people phoned the transplant coordinator and put the name forward, and testing started happening. And she says, I actually received my kidney from an altruistic donor off Facebook. She says, I call this lady my little angel now. And I thought, oh, that's so cute. She said, and I received a kidney before ever needing dialysis. And she says, I just want to say one thing to you, Anne. She says, I want to encourage you just to do it. She says, don't overthink it. She says, just do it because it could change your life. She says, what's the worst thing that could happen? Nobody likes it, no one comments, no one shares. She says, but I think that if you took some time to write a post, I think that at the very least your family and friends would share it. And you're not asking your family and friends to donate it. She's just ask them to share the post and just see where it takes you. So I said, okay, what do I write? I have no idea what to write. And she says, would you like me to send you what I wrote? She says, and you can maybe edit it and use it as a backbone. So I'm sat in my little caravan. I'm on holiday in Scarborough, UK, and she sent me the post. And if you're sat there thinking, do you know what? I think I need to do an appeal on Facebook. Drop me a message, get in touch, and I'm more than happy to send you the wording that I use so you can use that as a backbone to write your own post. So I reworded it. I talked about my children because I've obviously got 5 children. At the time, I think my eldest were 18, my youngest was 6. I'm a single parent. After my divorce, I went back to university and I was training to be a nurse. And it was just devastating because I got to I'd got to the end of my second year, past my second year of the nursing. I think just before I started dialysis, the week before I started dialysis, I did 3 12-hour shifts and I was absolutely determined that this is what I was going to do. And as I did the Facebook appeal, what were becoming really apparent as I moved into my 3rd year were that just the physical and mental demands of the course weren't going to be realistic while I was on dialysis. And it was heartbreaking. You know, I'd worked so hard getting my access qualifications, getting my GCSE maths, getting to a point where I could go back to university at the time of right. And my goal all along was to finish university before my kidneys failed, and that didn't work. And I'm thinking I'm going to have to step away from this. And I'd looked into going part-time, but the NMC rules state that you've got to qualify within 5 years of your finishing. So basically I could only take a gap year of 1 year before I had to return to study to be able to qualify within that time frame. So I'm thinking in the back of my head, I need to write this in this post. I need it to kind of be from the heart. So I changed the wording. I got a nice photograph of me and kids that we took at Easter, which is so unusual because we've hardly got any photos together. And I literally just clicked share. And from that moment that I clicked share, I would say that my course of treatment and my hope and everything just completely changed. It went wild. I remember messaging this lady saying, I've just posted it. And then 10 minutes later, she's messaged me and she's like, oh my God, it's got like 50 shares. Oh my God, look at all comments. Oh my gosh. I was getting messages all night from people saying, I've shared your post. I've got this illness, but I can't donate to you, but I'm sharing it. I went into all the Facebook groups that I could think of and shared it, selling groups, support groups. I put it in my WhatsApp chat groups that I were in. I messaged everybody on Messenger, all my friends, like, please share this, please share this, please share this. And it just went crazy. I think by the time I went to bed that evening, about 3 hours later, it had got something like best part of 1,000 shares. And I was like, wow, blown away. I then started receiving messages from people saying, your post really moving, I can't believe your story, I really want to help you, how do I contact the donation, how do I put my name forward? And by 10 o'clock the next day, this is giving me goosebumps talking about it, and it's so exciting. And when I think about this, just nearly a year ago since I shared this post, and when I think about the journey that I've been on over last year, there's so many emotions and highs and lows, that it's kind of like, sometimes when you have these moments, and I shared that post, I never stopped to think about where would I be in a year's time. I just kind of thought, I'm just going to do it and see what happens. I didn't have any expectations. By the next morning, the local newspaper the Barnsley Chronicle had phoned me and they wanted to run a story. A local radio station had phoned me, they wanted to run a story, and it were like, wow, it were incredible. I did also email, I did a little press release, and I did that because I've kind of written editorials before in a previous job, so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to use every contact I've got in my emails, and I message television stations, newspapers, reporters, radio stations, everybody I could think of. And I ended up being in the local Chronicle. I think by the end of that following day, the transplant coordinator had phoned me and said, oh my gosh, Anne, it's become apparent to us, I didn't even tell them, it was so spontaneous, probably should have in reflection. She said, it's become apparent you've done a Facebook appeal, you've generated a lot of interest from this, and we've had now about 20 or 30 people put the name forward. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So this process started, and I think very naively, I thought that this process was going to happen really quick. I thought they'd do some tests, it'd be done quick, boom, boom, boom. I could have a transplant by Christmas. That's kind of what we're going around telling everybody. Yeah, 30 people have come forward, could have a transplant by Christmas. In a pandemic, we're still in a pandemic at this time. It probably weren't so realistic, and I needed to manage my expectations. But that is the emotions of it, and all these people coming forward, and this post carried on being shared for a good few weeks after. It was just incredible. And then I found out in December that I got a cross match, and it was like, oh my God, it's happening. Oh God, I could have it by Easter. This is so exciting. And then that one fell through. And I remember in January being really disheartened and really low. I got really quite anemic over Christmas, and that makes your mood drop really low. And I was just really fed up, and I kind of felt like nothing were moving. And it were. The living donor coordinator and the transplant team have just been incredible. But you didn't always get updates because of patient confidentiality and things. So I kind of got a little bit frustrated. So one evening in January, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to share this post again. So I shared it again, and exactly the same happened. It went viral again. My network on Facebook just kind of really embraced the let's just share this for Anne, and just shared it and shared it and shared it. And that's kind of what happened. It went viral again, and another 30 or 40 or 50 people came forward. I'm not sure on exact numbers. And then the transplant team stepped things up and started bringing like 5 and 6 people at a time forward for testing. A few people kept me updated and said, yeah, I've got a cross match, and then kind of fell through for various reasons. So I think altogether I've had 4 matches. And then one day I do makeup videos, or I were doing, and I were on a live video on Facebook, and I got a number from a private withheld number. And when you're on the transplant list, when your phone rings and you get a private number or a withheld number, your heart does somersaults. You get so excited. You just think to yourself, for that moment it runs through your head, could this be that call? Could this be a deceased donor? Could this be it? And anyway, I went on a live video on Facebook, so I cancelled it off. And I remember saying on this video, oh my gosh, I've just cancelled a private number off. What we're doing? What happens if that were my chance at a kidney? And I said it really flippantly. And it just so happened to be the day that was the 1-year anniversary of me being on dialysis. It kind of felt like a special day. And I forgot about it. I got off my video. I went to work. I was just setting up. I do a Slimming World group. So I was just setting up my Slimming World group with a friend, and I got a private number phone call. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to listen to my voicemail from this private number. What happens if this is a kidney? What happens if this is it? And my phone rang, and I answered my phone and said, hi, it's so